Welcome, everyone. We'll start. Nice to see everyone. And we'll start here with sharing some slides with the introduction and the teaching. And then after that, we'll have shares and the questions, place for questions. Start with what is open intelligence. We are coming here to get to know the essence of open intelligence, the essence of our mind, the nature of our minds. So what is open intelligence? When we just stop thinking for a moment, what remains? And there's an alertness, clarity, openness, like the sky, the power to know, spacious open intelligence. We call it here open intelligence. And awareness, what's looking. And obviously, thoughts appear again. And we can't avoid that, obviously. So the same open intelligence is equally present with thoughts and without thoughts. But initially, it is easier to recognize that there's something about us that is always stable, present, unchanging when we stop thinking for a moment. But then it becomes more and more obvious that open intelligence is also present when we are thinking any kind of thoughts, good ones or not good ones, or if we are feeling, sensing. So open intelligence is something about us that is always stable and clear. And here we have the crystal ball metaphor. That just like a crystal ball is unaffected by whatever images appear, the nature of mind, open intelligence, remains lucid and clear, regardless of data, thoughts, emotions, and sensations that arise within it. So data, we call everything that we can think, emotion, also feel, sense, so all of these descriptions we put into one term, data. And so no matter what appears, what we are thinking, feeling, sensing, there's something about us that is always stable, clear, indestructible, open, and unaffected by whatever is appearing. And when we look at a crystal ball, there could be all kinds of images. Here's a very nice image, the sunset, and could be any kind of reflections, but the crystal ball is clear and indestructible, regardless of what the reflections are. So it's a very powerful metaphor, which reminds us of the nature of mind, of how our mind is indestructible and open and clear. And here we'll get to the how can we tap into this indestructible mind or recognize it because it's already present. So all these data are recognized, are the other dynamic energy of open intelligence. Data with an open intelligence can be likened to a breeze blowing through the air. The breeze and the air are inseparable, both are air. When a breeze blows, it is the dynamic energy of air. When data stir, they are the dynamic energy of open intelligence. So this metaphor evokes also another aspect of recognizing that open intelligence is present within all these kinds of thoughts, emotions, and experiences. So it's like the breeze in the air. We can't separate it out. The breeze from the air is inseparable, and that's the same with open intelligence, the aspects of open intelligence. Open intelligence is naturally present as everything that appears. It's a dynamic energy. Like all these thoughts, emotions, and experience are the dynamic energy of of open intelligence. And recognizing this shifts the way we use our mind, because we use our mind to sort our emotions and thoughts into good ones and bad ones and things we have to get rid of, and emotions and thoughts that we have to cultivate, maybe, or try to find the good ones and get rid of the unpleasant ones or challenging ones. And in recognizing open intelligence for short moments, we will hear that many times, the short moments of open intelligence. It's like a short moment of recognizing the ease of being, recognizing open intelligence just throughout our day. And it's like recognizing that stability, the openness and clarity within everything. And so we don't need to actually change what is appearing.
Students are taking part in art exhibition, like how the artist does.
I'll just make
In
some
Indian Institute of
muting. Yeah, good. Okay, so and then, oh yeah, Jochen, do you want to continue here?
Sure. Just as a rainbow appears within space, all cognitive, sensory, and emotional events, thoughts, emotions, sensations, and other experiences like stress, overwhelm, anxiety, all thinking appear within alert, open intelligence. So, data is the dynamic energy of open intelligence. Just as space and the rainbow are inseparable, data is inseparable from open intelligence. Yeah, so again, open intelligence is the true nature of our very own mind. The mind that is thinking all the thoughts, that is feeling all the emotions, experiencing all the sensations. That about us, which, we often just think, oh yeah, that's me. That's always present. That's always present no matter what appears. So when we look for practices like I certainly did, in some of my spiritual practices or with mindfulness and meditation, to find a place of having different thoughts or no thoughts, better emotions, maybe have less judgments, and or whatever it is. I have tried so many different things. All of those appear in the same nature of mind. The content of our mind is always changing, but the nature of mind is unchanging. Just like that crystal ball that Kati showed a few slides before is unchanging no matter what appears. So too, all our thoughts, emotions, sensations, everything is just the flow, the energy that arises, stays for a moment, and then vanishes. But the nature, the essence, the foundation of the true nature of mind is unchanging. So in this meditation here, in short moments of open intelligence, we always just go back and recognize this indestructible essence of our being. No matter what appears, at its basis is always the same nature of mind, which is our true nature. The power of our mind, open intelligence, is unavailable when there is effort to regulate the flow of data. Most of us divide our data into positive, negative, and neutral categories. We're constantly trying to control our thoughts, emotions, speech, and actions in order to make them positive rather than negative. Yeah, maybe you can relate to that as well. I certainly tried, whether it was with therapy or with, sometimes having a glass of wine or two or more, trying different practices like meditation, yoga, always with the hopes that if I do them enough, if I do these things enough, then my mind will either stop completely and just be quiet for once, or at least it will have more positive descriptions, better thoughts, better emotions, better experiences. But even if that may have worked for a while, like say on the meditation cushion, which often it didn't there actually either. My mind was just running even more helter-skelter. But if it did occasionally work, it would always come back to be how it always was, essentially. So here, instead of trying to change what appears in the mind, we recognize that the power and the release, the relief, the freedom that we've actually been looking for is already in the nature of mind itself, regardless of the content. So it shifts the entire perspective of where we look for freedom and how we experience ourselves. Instead of identifying with the content of our mind, we recognize that we are the nature of mind, in which all of this other stuff, our life experiences, come up and subside, but there is something about us that is always here. What's looking in the mirror never changes. Do you want to continue again from here?
And all data are left as they are, as open intelligence is dynamic energy. We rely on the power of open intelligence in our everyday life. Short moments of open intelligence many times become continuous at all times. So the short moments of open intelligence become continuous. We gain confidence in open intelligence just by taking these short moments, by recognizing that open intelligence is present in every moment of our day-to-day life. So wherever we are, whatever we are doing, we take these short moments of open intelligence and see that everything that is occurring, all the thoughts we're thinking right now, everything we're feeling or sensing, we leave all these data, all these experiences as they are, and recognize the energy, the dynamic energy of open intelligence as all these data. And just in a short moment, we don't take long moments, because then might be trying to get into a state of some sort. Just short moments, and the quantity is more important than the quality. And if a painful datum comes up, and we start elaborating on it, it's going to lead to all kinds of other thoughts about it. So we can all relate to that. Something comes up, it's a painful or anger or anything, and we start making a story out of it, one thought to the next, a feeling and the next thought and a story. So, and we try to analyze it, try to get rid of it. So you can see how we are engaged in all these kinds of data. So there's another metaphor with, if you were standing in a muddy pond and wanted the pond to be clear, you would not stir the water with a stick. You would stand still until the mud naturally settled out. Same is true with all data. There's nothing that needs to be done about thoughts and emotions. And that sometimes needs courage to allow all these thoughts and emotions to be as they are, because it feels so uncomfortable. We have impulses to act, urges to do something. And we get used to this energy. We rest in the energy of the body, let all these data be as they are, and see that we don't need to stir, analyze, try to do something about these data. And for me, that was a great relief. With psychology as background, I was all the time thinking about thoughts and analyzing and trying to fix something. So there's nothing that needs to be done about thoughts and emotions. That was like a relief, at least instinctively. Then it might feel like, oh, I need to change something. Otherwise, I'll be always like in a bad mood, or always have this kind of challenges. So that's where then more and more confidence and open intelligence brings up skillful means, and actually an ease and a joy that is not, it's not in the realm of needing to have good states, good thoughts or good emotions, having that clarity and ease of not needing to change, and not needing to put all the energy into changing what's occurring. So this just naturally comes about with gaining confidence in open intelligence. Yeah, so if we have positive thoughts, it's fine. And if we have negative thoughts, that's fine. So whatever happens, happens. It becomes more a flow of all these data that naturally self-release. Thoughts and emotions self-release like mist in the air. And that's the true nature of all the data, of all emotions and thoughts. And when that becomes, when we allow that to be obvious, it happens naturally. Anyway, that's how it is, and it becomes more obvious. We emphasize data, so this is the choice: emphasize and elaborate the story, or stir the stick in the pond, and then it like feels kind of unsettled, and data stir, and that's all we see. And we all have that kind of experience of stirring the pond in whatever way, and then letting it settle and become clear. Yeah, I guess we do one more, and then we can have also questions. For many of us, quite challenging to rely. It is quite challenging to rely on open intelligence when there are disturbing thoughts, emotions, sensations, or other experiences. And that's makes sense. Sometimes it's also helpful to just take short moments when it's easier. And when it's difficult, then there are talks about open intelligence, or the books, or coming to meetups like this. There's a natural way of taking short moments when it feels difficult. And that supports then again the gaining more confidence, and then difficult data, difficult emotions, circumstances, or relationships become easier and easier to let be as they are, and feel, recognize open intelligence within. Because then we see that even very disturbing states obviously arise with an ever-present open intelligence. It is powerful to acknowledge that the basis of all data is open intelligence. So we choose for open intelligence to be obvious to us or not. This is a moment-to-moment choice, and the most important choice we can make. And we just start with that choice, and we only have one moment at a time. So in this moment, just open intelligence, while whatever we are thinking and feeling right now is left as it is. Good. Yeah, I think we'll pause here for a moment, and so we can have also questions or shares about short moments. And great. So, anyone has a question or anything you'd like to share? Really nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
We just finished the slides and opened for questions or shares.
I would like to say something.
Yeah, please.
When you were reading that material, it occurred to me that if we're pushing away negative thoughts, which that I've studied all about that stuff too, and it doesn't work. Pushing away, negativity. That what you're pushing away, maybe tell me if this is correct, that what you're pushing away is open intelligence.
Yeah.
Every time we're pushing negativity away or frustration, that we're literally pushing our connection with open intelligence away.
Yeah.
And that's what it seems like to me.
It's exactly like that. Yeah. That's a powerful insight. Yeah.
And there's another thing that I've been finding with myself, and it isn't becoming like an open intelligence freak, like, well, I have to do this now. It seems like automatically it just comes up. like I'm washing dishes, and all of a sudden it comes up, and I'm I'm saying resting for a moment and resting with open intelligence. And it was kind of interesting that it happened that way because early on, I was, you know, I was using it if there was something that might be disturbing me. But now it seems that it just comes up,
Mm.
and I was taken almost taken aback by that because I realized that was that was going on, and to say, wow, you
Mm.
know. And one more thing, I love
Beautiful.
I love the consistency that everyone I listen to on short moments. I listen to Adrian and Toby and of course Candace, and it's all the same. They're saying the same things in different ways, and it's so reinforcing for me.
Mm.
I just sit there and it's like, wow, because I've studied like Jochen said, I've studied. I'm sure everyone has. I've studied so many things, and nothing is so consistent with different words. People are saying different things about their own life, but at the same time, it's like it's just amazing. And one other thing, I don't want to take too much time of it,
No, that's great, great. Mm.
but some of the things I've studied, um, asking for Jesus and asking, and I'm not a Christian, so to speak. I happen to be Jewish, but the different paths of that I've been on, and ask God for help, ask Jesus for help, and I always realized that, I mean, if you're going to talk about Jesus, he said God is within. So open intelligence is within us. So where else do you have to look? That's where that's at now. Anyway,
Great, great. Thank you for sharing your insights. Yeah, yeah, that's perfect. And also, um, listening to these talks, and like you said, the other trainers, these are talks that we recorded maybe at the centers like in Goa or in Sweden. And it is really powerful to listen to, hearing different life stories, and but hearing the recognition of open intelligence and how they applied short moments and gained confidence. It's very reassuring hearing just other human beings. And then we can actually see, oh, it relates to all of us in the same way. So, but everyone has a bit of different life experiences. Jochen is pasting the channel there. And you can also, yeah, that's the YouTube channel. And it has also shares of people who've gone through the teaching, the 12 empowerments, for example, or who just were around. And we did open meetings there every day for months. And so then people could stay there and just listen. And that helps. Or you do your own meetings every day with the YouTube channel. So that is helpful to listen like that. Mhm. So thank you for sharing. Yeah. And then it becomes instinctive. That's just another aspect of your share, because no matter what we are doing, we remember and also instinctively recognize. And it's really true. We don't actually even have to think about open intelligence all the time. It just is instinctive and becomes more natural, a natural way of being. Great. Yeah. So let's see if there are other questions or also share of your short moment practice.
Hi there. My name
Yeah.
is Joel.
Hi,
Hi.
Joel. Nice to meet
Hi.
you.
Thank you. Thank you for having this meeting.
Yes.
I don't make it on as often as I'd like to, but
Mm.
I've been listening to the talks for the last few years, and in many ways, I feel like my awareness and my awareness of my awareness has gone continuous. And but lately, and just the success of being in relationship, which is something I always wanted to be at peace with my partner, and the fact that I can ask her to be with me and sit. And when we rest for a short moment, whatever it was that seems so ominous that we were bickering about just disappears and we just start to giggle. And just for that alone, it would be totally worth it for this being committed to this practice. But for me, and having done the empowerments and feeling like I really got on top of so many of my data points and all of that, I'm still doing this thing with money and reifying it and working on my business, and all this stuff comes up and it just seems to hook me. And I was just wondering if there was any sometimes a special meeting that you might do on money and all of that. So I wanted to inquire about that and see if anybody had some experience around that, which I'm sure you do, but it just seems to be so ingrained and go back and I start thinking, oh my God, is it for previous lifetimes? And just all this stuff just comes and I'm like, oh God, like I've really made it this foe that I'm up against. And I know it's not like that somewhere in me, but it just keeps showing up like that. But anyway, I just want to share that. And thank you so much for all the time you spend doing this and giving this message away. As was stated before, I have tried so many things and I'd done the 12 steps and had, I'd gotten sober and that was wonderful. And I just felt totally wanting, like, God, this is so much effort. Why does it have to feel so full of effort? And this is the most beautiful, simple thing that just seems to bring clarity so quickly. And so I really love it. And so thank you so much for being a part of it.
Well, thank you for sharing. That's really beautiful. Yeah, and like you shared in relationship and any kind of relationships, it can be magical how the big problem can just disappear. Where did it go? And also there's a solution orientated way of seeing, looking at things, because sometimes things have to be talked through. But yeah, that's great. And money, that can be like a big one. So thank you for bringing that up. And it brings also a lot of emotions and feelings, existential fear. And so it's connected to a lot of data, basically, that belief systems as well. There's a money training, actually, very specifically a 2-day one that we sometimes share, because money is such a big datum. I mean, ultimately, it's all in open intelligence. Everything is the dynamic energy of open intelligence, but obviously, like also going through the empowerment, it just isn't always, even though it is simple, it isn't always so easy with, of course, our life experiences with maybe relationships, but also especially the relationship with money, as one of the examples. So can be lots there to just have a more in-depth support to actually recognize open intelligence and feel in one way able to deal with money. And so on a practical level, that's one thing. And then the other thing is, how do we actually deal with when it feels very emotionally charged, lots of emotions, and often fear, hope and fear, and maybe confusion, no clarity. We look away, don't want to see, don't want to do, and maybe procrastinate any kind of clarity in this area, just also on a practical level. So it's just these teachings, other than, of course, continuously taking short moments and actually recognizing what are the data around that. When you go through the empowerment, sometimes we write the belief systems. And in the money training, it's directly even asking, what are all the belief systems about money? What are all the data that come up around money? So we take, like in a similar way, stock focused on money. What are all the data and the feelings, and how do we feel? The fears, hopes and fears, and which allows then a more in depth, specifically taking short moments, a specific practice with these kinds of data to get used to these kinds of data. part of the money training is also that we actually, get to know learning, or some of us might do that, but having a money log, right? Knowing exactly what comes in and out and being able to face that, knowing exactly where we are at, because often that's also something that within all the emotionality and fears is avoided, right? As an example. Then we have behaviors around it. We either like are so afraid we can't spend money, or we don't want to look and we overspend and then have no idea what we are spending and what the money situation is. So these are all ways of avoiding the clarity and of open intelligence, right? We avoid facing something like how much is in my bank account kind of thing, and what goes in and out each month. So these are all aspects of the money training that go a bit more in depth into that topic. Yeah. But ultimately, right, and when you get a bit more clear on what's all the data, because sometimes it's difficult to rest because we have no idea what are actually all my data around this. We are just like in fear, maybe, or in panic, or in confusion, or in such an avoidance of ultimately, again, the fear and the energy in our body that we just avoid and procrastinate. So getting to know everything about us now in the theme of money can bring the ease and clarity into it. So that's a main focus of the money training, and then obviously it's still the ultimate practice of the short moments, but it has some practicalities there. Yeah. Thank you for bringing it up. Obviously, that's a good one in terms of getting to know. It's a good opportunity to deepen actually open intelligence, facing all these kinds of data. So if there was anything Jochen there, but great. Let's see if there are any other questions you might have, or additionally to that topic. Like in the self-empowerment, sometimes when we look at all the belief systems, it might be something that we write down, like data, like, or belief system, like, oh, I never will have enough money, or things like that. And once you see these kinds of data, you see how these limitations, well, they are in our stories, right? They are in the stories of how we see ourselves and what we do with these belief systems. They can be very ingrained, but then ultimately they are descriptions. So once you focus on descriptions, it's like that. And then recognizing open intelligence, it's open. Yeah.
I just also wanted to say how pervasive that is really in our society. Like how many people are both literally struggling to pay rent and to, like be able to afford living with inflation and working several jobs. And then, so that's one thing is I think we're also, it's one thing to rest with our data, so to speak, but I think it's also really powerful to see that so many are in the same boat and also share the same experience, and we're so connected with each other, like so open, like open intelligence, right? We're such open beings, that the stress and worry and concern, the fears, the hopes, it's not just something personal, even though it also is deeply personal, but it also is very pervasive. And yeah, so that's one thing. And then, if I heard correctly, you were saying you're running a business. Is that right? Your own business? Yeah. So that's like that's like a masterclass of how to manage stress or not manage stress. I think it's one of the most stressful things for people is to run one's own business. It always sounds so good, like, be your own boss, have your freedom, and but then once you're in it, you realize, oh my goodness, what did I sign up for? Um, Yes, I could technically decide to not work today, but I can't afford to not work today. In fact, I have to work even more than I worked on my job because I need to work in the business and then I need to work on the business. So also that is a very natural experience that I can definitely relate to for many, many years now. And you're never done. Like if you I remember at least when that was also kind of almost before the internet, but definitely before being online 24/7, when I had a normal job. Not that what I do today isn't a normal job, but it was different at the time. And I had an actual weekend. Like I like left my office on Friday afternoon. Kati usually picked me up and always dragged me out of the office earlier. And I was always the first to leave because Kati wanted to celebrate weekend. And but we had an actual weekend. At least formally in my head, I would often, of course, secretly prepare presentations for the next week. But at least technically, nobody expected me to do that. Whereas today, I feel like we're on, especially if we run our own business. But I think many people who don't, who have an employment, are still on like every day. Like when has been the last time where you really unplugged from it all for like even a week? Where you were on a holiday and you did not check your business emails, you did not create the next thing or work on a strategy. I remember Katya and I were in a spa one time, saying, "Okay, let's take a day off." And after 2 hours, we like looked at each other. Okay, can we now work on the vision for like short moments? And it's just so pervasive. And it's similar with money. And what I realized is even if I have enough to pay next month's rent, and even the month after, and things start to stabilize in a business, the thoughts will keep coming, the worries change. And then I've known people who have millions, like literally millions of dollars, and they're worried about the millions of dollars. It does not end with having more money, like, and that's really a powerful like reckoning in a way, is because it cuts the root of hoping that at some point I'll have enough money to never worry again. That will never happen. Like literally never. I can promise you that. Because the more money you have, the more you have to worry about. What do I do with the money? Where do I need to invest it so that it doesn't get all, debased or stolen or whatever? And so the only way that I found to really resolve my worries about money, which I can report I actually have, I'm no longer worried about money, which is like a miracle to me, has been in the practice. It really has. I still experience the typical hopes and fears. I'm a human being, so of course I go through some things like that. But they're so empty of that charge it used to have for me. Like I literally would have trouble falling asleep, worrying about money and like where did that go and something didn't reconcile quite as I thought it would, or and to be free from that is such a gift, and it really is the practice. Now, in addition to that, I also wanted to say that, especially for running a business, open intelligence is the best platform and operating system that I've ever come across to run a business. And there are also lots of other things that are really helpful to run a good business. On top of that, like programs, apps that we can install in the operating system of open intelligence. So, whatever that is, like Kati mentioned, tools about financial clarity that we can have, or systems of delegation, and yeah, all kinds of things. I don't want to like go into it, but it's just good to see that we can also have that practical aspect of then really, with open intelligence and that clarity, we can then integrate tools into daily life that make our life easier. We can learn to set clear boundaries on ourselves and on when we work and when we don't, and what the business will do when we don't work, and learn to build a different relationship essentially with the business that is often, especially in the beginning, so tied to like whatever I do is what the business does, and at some point that the business needs to become its own thing basically. Anyway, I just thought to share that as well, to just normalize some of the experiences you go through. It's like, it's not because you did something wrong. It's what you should expect if you run your own business. It's like a boot camp for practicing. Mm. Come. Hi, Tina. Please.
Well, yeah, money is a big thing for me too. And think about, uh, I always kind of now, because I've struggled with it so much and being a single mom with my kids and stuff and not having income and just all the things. Um, Now I kind of have faith that it's coming in, but I still have fears about how it's going out or how much I'm gonna send out. But ultimately, I want to be a millionaire. I want to have I want to be able to have a waterfront property and all those kind of things. And it's like, is that totally unrealistic at this point in my life? Or can I get to the point where open intelligence just creates that for me and all the next steps just naturally occur? And I'd love to be able to take care of my kids too, have a big property where where everybody comes and is able to have their own, have security. I think it's really about security and about, like, there's so much stress around money in my family's life and in the world too these days. And to just have that flow and know that that's coming and be able to allow it, but to also have those big dreams, like some of the things that I possibly do could create that. I don't know, but so far it hasn't happened and I'm getting older. But yeah, just wanted to say my 2 cents in terms of the financial.
Of course, yes. So thank you for sharing, Tina. Um, ultimately, with the practice, the possibilities open up, obviously, because we don't limit ourselves in the ways we might have done before. But I think what is ultimately the greatest gift is to find the security, a secure moment, a moment of safety and security in open intelligence. It's like the best investment is in a short moment of open intelligence, and that doesn't really deny any kind of wish and obviously need for money and being practical, and even having an open vision and dream to see, well, or goal even, to make something happen. And which is so much easier when we rely on open intelligence, because getting wrapped up in hope and fear can be very exhausting. Like hoping for something, fearing it won't come. And being caught up there actually also in the fear of, yeah, not fear, the lack of security and all the fear that comes along, panic even. So being able to actually rest as open intelligence within all of that makes it a completely different way of looking at everything. And it's fine. It's like perfect to have like wishes and dreams and even goals, right? And say, well, that's what is possible. What I never thought is possible can be possible. And having practicalities, of course, around it, right? We can see clearly. It's like a clarity. It is filled with trust in life, that life has an ultimate goodness within. And so there's an energy that allows for that kind of ease and flow to happen. But it still has a really crystal clear seeing of what is needed, what is my next step. So the practical wisdom, but also ultimate wisdom is like somehow combined. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But
I think
yes.
what's been happening with me too is like
Mm.
I'm an artist, so I've been doing art shows and art markets and stuff, and then I'm fairly successful, and then all of a sudden it's really bad for a couple times, and I'm just like I can't do that anymore. And then so I feel like that's one of the venues that could possibly become really successful, but then I don't really give it a chance because I just kind of give up.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where open intelligence can be very handy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, you can see already how that can open up things, right? And not go into typical patterns that we might be having, been used to. Yeah, that's great. Thank you for saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? This question can be totally different also. Doesn't have to be money related, but can be. Or any shares. Your practice. Ollie, yes.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody's shares, and I think my question, I'm hoping, will tie into what everybody's talking about a little bit, because I feel like I went through 12 empowerments thinking, and I'd love clarity on this, to let data be as it is. I think one area that just kind of was like a whoa, aha moment for me was we're really talking about allowing our emotions, thoughts, feelings, sensations to be as it is. But there's data is everything. Data is the situation, like a business that isn't maybe thriving, or the history with my family, like challenges. And so I went into the first part of 12 empowerments thinking I need to let what's happening, that challenging physical thing out there that I want to change, I need to let that be as it is. And then, of course, a flood of emotions comes up that I was struggling with, because I had to leave that as it was. And I was like, oh, but then I don't know why it was like so slow to absorb. But it's more, I think you first have to let the emotions, and that's what I want to check. The emotions and the thoughts and all of that, you have to let that first be as it is first before you can let's say, affect change in the world? Because are we ultimately, like, once open intelligence goes continuous, are we ultimately wanting to let whatever's happening out there be as it is, really ultimately, knowing that that is open intelligence and that that will also have its own fruition of evolution on its own, the way that it would be highest best for all? Or do we still need to go and change that once our emotions?
Mhm.
I hope this makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was my question.
No, that's a great question, and that is a question that will be, I know this question very, very deeply as well, because it's ultimately, well, how do I know when to act from a place in open intelligence, knowing, when to respond to something, when to act, or when not. And but both is grounded, both acting and not acting is both grounded in open intelligence, meaning having let be all the emotionality and feelings and thoughts, sensations be as it is around whatever situation or challenges are occurring. Because yes, it's really true. You initially actually get to know yourself and everything that is occurring, every little inkling of anger, frustration, anything that comes up that might be part of the the data and the situation and how we relate to the situation, to the person. So it's really like getting to know everything in a deep way as open intelligence. Letting it be as it is doesn't mean we are not responding, right? That's why the empowerments are like a big short moment, right? And then there's the power to know what to do. Or we know that we don't know. So that's also it. Not knowing doesn't mean that we are not practicing, really. It's just not yet clear, or not time, or whatever we can say about it. But it is then often that we struggle with how do we know what to do and when to do, or if to do something, and if yes, then what. So all of that is part of further practice, really, and deepening just that knowing. Initially it will feel like, oh, am I now acting from anger, or am I letting it actually be and doing something? A very normal kind of questions, especially initially when it feels like we're still figuring out sort of what's happening when it's so overwhelming. Always the first step is to take a short moment and get to know the energy in the body and all the feelings and thoughts, and then there will be more confidence that we know what to do, what we see, because every wisdom is always depending on time, place, and circumstance. There's not a real right or wrong way to deal with something. Only you will know. There's wisdom that depends on time, place, and circumstance, and only you know, and you know that you're practicing. From the outside, it could be interpreted in any way. No, Jochen, if you have something. But it's a powerful topic. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
You just said getting to know the energy in the body, and you said that earlier on. And we don't have much time left, but can you give a short elaboration on that? Are you talking about feeling body sensations directly? What can you just expand on that a little bit, please? Thank you.
Right, yeah. Feeling everything, all the sensations, even thoughts, yes, the sensations, the feelings, everything is the dynamic energy of open intelligence. So it is really powerful to actually feel everything also in the body. It's all data, obviously, but it's the dynamic energy of open intelligence. And sometimes we just want to like just feel rest as open intelligence and move and actually avoid like everything we are sensing, feeling, the dynamic energy of open intelligence. So really having a moment to let these data, the dynamic energy, be as it is, the sensations, yeah. And rest as everything. Everything is the energy of open intelligence. We are just putting labels to a sensation as well and a thought. So it's all the dynamic energy of open intelligence. And then we label, make stories, and it becomes real and one thing. Less and less that is so confined, and it's all as open intelligence as energy and resting as that. And still, we know all about labels. It's not about not seeing labels. Everything is seen, but it's you rest more as the energy of open intelligence as everything. A circumstance, what it evokes in you, in others. Everything is part of the field of open intelligence. But it's we don't need to try to feel something now or experience something in a specific way. When we feel like we get confused now, then just take another short moment. That's the best way. But it is really getting to know all our sensations and feelings and thoughts that come up within us, within the relationship with others, within the relationship with situations, and in relationship to memories and future thoughts. So all appears as open intelligence and dynamic energy. Hope that clarified it a little bit, though. Yeah.
No, it didn't.
No, it didn't. Okay.
No.
Okay. Well, that's
Have a
fine.
go some other time.
Yeah. We can talk more about it, and just take short moments. That's then easier, because it can sometimes feel otherwise confusing, and it'll become more and more obvious. But perfect, yeah. Good. Okay. So thank you, everyone. Maybe we'll pause here for today. Is there anything else you want to know before? Otherwise, we'll meet next
Sounds
week
good.
again. Thank you
Great.
all. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.